everything that's not on those forms. That's what's so powerful, and that's why the arts still exist.
Peter Sellars is our guest. You're listening to Talk of the Nation from NPR News. And let's get Brian on the line. Brian from Lewis, Delaware.
Hi, how you doing, Mr. Sellers? Pleasure to talk to you.
Brian, a pleasure. Thanks for calling.
Hey, I'm curious. You mentioned removing the sign of black from the Othello character and obviously sticking in the sign of Hispanic. I'm wondering if the sort of perceived religiosity of Hispanics, at least from some perspectives, whether that played a motivational role in Othello's sort of wanting to believe, or was that a motivation? Did that ever come up in your production?
Oh, very much so. And I have to say, Shakespeare was so interested in Christianity and all these other spiritual paths that were just coming to light for Europeans. The voodoo and, all of these incredible syncretic things. And Shakespeare has his characters, praying to all kinds of things across the night in that play. All kinds of spirits are invoked. And, all of us have, of course, our own little rituals every day by which we are hopefully influencing future reality. For some people, it's just going to Starbucks. You feel better for the day and your life is centered and you're going to be okay. And that sense of what is your religion? What is your spiritual practice? How do those things mix? Shakespeare is mentioning on almost every page witchcraft or strange invocations, bizarre, very intense chanting. All of these things appear throughout the play. Shakespeare was interested in many, many, many spiritual paths, and he was inviting Christianity to, of course, reach outside itself. And I think with Shakespeare, the line that I love that Desdemona has at the beginning of Act 4 is, "All's one." If you really believe in a kind of spiritual depth, all is one. And the meeting of all the paths and all the streams in the ocean, that ocean, of course, is what Shakespeare's writing about. And yes, the intense spirituality and the Catholic presence is one of the most interesting things in Shakespeare. Some people thought Shakespeare might have been a Catholic. Certainly what he did see in England was the persecution of Catholics as religious heretics. He saw torture. He saw all kinds of things, people enduring things because they were Catholics and they would not recant. So torture also plays a role in the play, and Shakespeare shows you people willing to endure things for their deepest held beliefs. So all of those things are definitely in the mix, Brian. Thank you very much.
And thanks
Thank
for the
you,
call.
sir.
All right. The cast you've got, as I understand it, dictates a rather short run in New York, but I also gather there are plans for a tour.
Well, yes. The big hope for us is two things. One of which is because Toni Morrison did challenge me to do this play to begin with, Toni is now actually working on her own play to respond to Shakespeare. And it's going to be called Desdemona. And she is putting in things that Shakespeare himself could not have written about the black community, and also giving the women a voice. For Shakespeare, the ideal woman, was had all these wonderful qualities, but was also silent. And of course, we're living in an age where women are allowed to speak, and that's really not a bad thing. And so Toni is really going to give voice, and from particularly a feminist side, to the women in this play, and tell the stories that Shakespeare couldn't or wouldn't tell. Meanwhile, we'll keep working on this play. We'll come back to it across the next years, and our big hope is that after a few years, we will film this production on location, in fact, and we will then film Toni Morrison's Desdemona and send them out to the high schools with a bunch of materials around them coming from all kinds of organizations, military organizations, organizations about women's issues, all of these things that are in the play very, very powerfully, and really give the next generation, the 21st century generation, these kids who will never see the images Shakespeare was working with, give them images that are updated for their realities, for the realities of the planet that we're all hoping to shape, and bring this play into its full relevance. I mean, the marvelous thing about Shakespeare, again, he's a visionary. This is These plays have lasted through the centuries because they respond to the things that every generation is hoping for and reaching towards. And they remain these kind of clarion calls, out of the dark to say, keep heading towards the light, keep going towards the place, the world we all want to live in. The important thing is to imagine it and then create it. And that active imagination is what the play really invites us all to. I hope that this will be in every high school in America 5 years from today.
Peter Sellars, thanks very much, and good luck with that.
Thanks so much.
Peter Sellars is the director of Othello and joined us today from the studios of WNYC in New York. Tomorrow, Science Friday, Ira Flato will be here. How does what your friends do and what your friends' friends do affect you? Ira looks at the connectedness of behavior and social networks, plus the band They Might Be Giants with a new album about science. That's all tomorrow on Talk of the Nation Science Friday. We'll see you again on Monday. Have a great weekend, everybody. This is Talk of the Nation from NPR News. I'm Neil Conan in Washington.